On November 13, 2005, Eddie Guerrero left this world. Few weeks before this, Eddie Guerrero was on Raw and SmackDown, which is said to be his last Raw and SmackDown. And many people don't know what happened on that show. So let's have a look at that. On October 3, 2005, Eddie Guerrero was on Raw. It was Dallas, Texas, USA. It was a star-studded six-man tag team match. Batista, Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit took on JBL, Christian and Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was from the side of the heel team. So this star-studded match was just going to start, but Eric Bischoff came and cancelled that whole match. The match got cancelled and the lights went out and they went to a commercial break. Yes, Eddie Guerrero's last appearance at Raw was just an entrance. This was a really special episode of Raw, but none of the wrestlers in that six-man tag team match got to compete against each other. I think it was just a poor decision and just sad for Eddie Guerrero. After this, Eddie Guerrero never came to Raw and this is said to be the last Raw of Eddie Guerrero. Now let's move to the last SmackDown of Eddie Guerrero. It was November 8, 2005 from Indianapolis. Now the show starts and you can see Eddie Guerrero with the whole roster. Teddy Long is addressing what would be the future plans for SmackDown. He was setting the show up and you can see Eddie fist bumping with Batista. Then you can also see M&M showing last week clips where Eddie performed a frog splash on Melina. Then he had a match with Mr. Kennedy. It was a Survivor Series qualifying match. Eddie Guerrero does his entrance in his lowrider. The match started and Eddie Guerrero showed you why he is Eddie Guerrero. Man, he cheated. He cheated the way he always cheats. And this is his last smile. Anyways, he won the match by disqualification and advanced to the Survivor Series team. Now before closing this video, if you want to know Eddie's last Raw TV match, you have to literally go back 1 year in 2004 where he faced Triple H in a Draft Raw episode where Eddie Guerrero won the match by disqualification. Few professional wrestlers in the world whom we can call legends, and Sting is absolutely one of them. With a career spanning over 40 years, Sting is definitely one of the greatest of all time. But what was his last matches in every promotion? Let's find out. So let's start with WCW, the promotion that made Sting. Sting's last WCW Nitro match came on the last episode of WCW Nitro, where WWF purchased WCW. That was the last episode of Nitro. Sting took on the Nature Boy Ric Flair, where he defeated Ric Flair by giving a superplex, followed by a Scorpion Deathlock. Ric Flair tapped out. A very emotional moment for both of the guys. Now WCW had two flagship shows. For example, WWE had Raw and SmackDown. Just like that, WCW had Nitro and Thunder. We talked about Sting's last Nitro match, but what about his last WCW Thunder match? So his last WCW Thunder match was against Scott Steiner, where he defeated Scott Steiner by DQ. Conan interfered in that match, and his last WCW pay-per-view match was at Final Millennium pay-per-view, where he defeated Kevin Nash by a Scorpion Deathlock to win the WCW European Cup. Now let's talk about Sting's last WWE matches. Sting's last WWE match at Raw was a tag team match, John Cena and Sting vs Seth Rollins and Big Show. In this match, Sting gave a Scorpion Death Drop to Seth Rollins, followed by a Scorpion Deathlock, and Seth Rollins tapped out. Sting never had a SmackDown match, and Sting's last WWE pay-per-view match was against Seth Rollins at Night of Champions 2015, where Sting lost the match because of the injury that he faced during that match. We know about this. Now this is last WWE matches. Now let's go with last AEW matches. Please God, no copyright. Sting's last AEW Dynamite match was a Tornado Tag Team match for the Tag Team Championships, where Darby Allin and Sting took on Big Bill and Ricky Starks. Now here again, Sting's team won by a Scorpion Deathlock. Sting's last AEW pay-per-view match happened at AEW Revolution 2024, where they faced the Young Bucks and defeated the Young Bucks in this match by a Scorpion Deathlock. This match was even advertised as a Sting's last match. Now AEW, WWE, WCW all is over, only TNA is left, and Sting's last TNA match was the only match where Sting lost. It was EC3 vs Sting, where special guest referee was Drake Maverick, and EC3 defeated Sting there. And this was all the final matches of Sting in every promo. November 4, 2009, Umaga left this world, and here are some last matches of Umaga. Umaga's last Raw match happened way before in 2008, where he faced John Cena in a street fight. Umaga was very ahead in this match. He even gave a brutal Samoan drop on steel ramp. But at the end, Umaga lost the match when Umaga was going for something and John Cena picked him up and gave an attitude adjustment to win the match. This was Umaga's last Raw match. Moving on to Umaga's last SmackDown match, Umaga's last SmackDown match happened against CM Punk. That time he was feuding with CM Punk. So this was a normal match, and in the first few minutes, CM Punk had full control in this match, but after some time the momentum shifted towards Umaga. But at the end, when Umaga was going to attack CM Punk with the strap, CM Punk gave a GTS to Umaga and won the match. Now people think this was Umaga's last match in WWE, but that's not true. Umaga's last WWE match happened against CM Punk, but this was a pay-per-view match at Extreme Rules 2009. It was a strap match. This was officially Umaga's last match in WWE. After this, he was released from this contract. Talking about the match, in this match, CM Punk gave a unique low blow to Umaga, and CM Punk won the match by giving GTS and touching all four corners. Umaga lost all his last matches in WWE, and WWE was also not focusing on him that much at that time. So that was all his last matches. That was all Umaga's last matches at Raw SmackDown. Angle is one of the most underrated legends of all time. I think he don't get enough credit for his contributions in pro wrestling. But do you know Kurt Angle last matches in pro wrestling? And I'm talking about from every promotion. So let's find out. First, let's talk about his last matches in WWE. Kurt Angle's last match at Raw came at 2019. It was Kurt Angle's last run in WWE, and Kurt Angle was going to face Samoa Joe. When Samoa Joe was delivering a coquina clutch, Angle was so close to faint, but Kurt Angle reversed it into a pinfall, defeating Samoa Joe. Kurt Angle's last SmackDown match also came in this year, and it was against AJ Styles. In this match, Randy Orton interfered and gave an RKO to AJ Styles, which gave the win to AJ Styles. Kurt Angle couldn't do anything, but then he gave an angle slam to Randy Orton. Kurt Angle's last ECW match happened when ECW was under WWE. It was a number one contender match, Kurt Angle vs Sabu. The match was won by Kurt Angle, but due to disqualification because Rob Van Dam interfered and attacked Kurt Angle. After this, Kurt Angle was long gone from WWE and joined TNA Wrestling. At the end, he left TNA, and his last match in TNA came against a former WWE superstar, Bobby Lashley. In this match, Kurt Angle was bleeding from his mouth, and Bobby Lashley defeated him by giving a spear. This was the final match of Angle in TNA. Talking about Kurt Angle's last pay-per-view match, it's 2019 Royal Rumble. This was the Royal Rumble which was won by Seth Rollins. Kurt Angle entered at number 4, and he was there only for 3 minutes until got eliminated by Shinsuke Nakamura. So this was all the last matches of Kurt Angle from his pro wrestling career, and from every 17 years that WWE stopped mentioning Chris Benoit. WWE didn't like to use his name for any purposes, but you know, it's actually very important to know about the WWE history of Chris Benoit and his last matches in WWE. So let's find out. Chris Benoit's WWE career was nothing short of exceptional. His matches were top class. Chris Benoit's last WWE match came against Elijah Burke. It was a tournament semi-final where the winner of the match was going to face CM Punk for the vacant ECW championship, and Chris Benoit defeated his opponent by a sharpshooter and won that match. Now this was officially Chris Benoit's last WWE match, but what was his last Raw and last SmackDown match? So Chris Benoit's last Raw match happened on an episode of Raw, which was against Bobby Lashley. In this match, Chris Benoit lost the match by a power slam. You can also see a handshake between Chris Benoit and Bobby Lashley. Chris Benoit's last SmackDown match happened with Edge. It was a long matchup, almost 20 minutes, and Edge defeated Chris Benoit by a spear. Now let's go towards Chris Benoit's last pay-per-view match. Chris Benoit's last pay-per-view match was at Judgment Day 2007 against MVP for the US Championship, where Chris Benoit again lost the match. MVP did a very bad looking pinfall and became the new United States Champion. Chris Benoit was also looking hurt after this match. Now I don't know why. Now this was all Chris Benoit last matches in WWE, but let's have a bonus last match of WCW Chris Benoit. He defeated Sid Vicious for the World Heavyweight Championship, but next day he forfeited his title and walked away from WCW to join WWE. So this was finally Chris Benoit's last matches in WWE. So that's it for the video, guys. I hope you have liked this video. Till then, see you soon.